Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk. Today we are back with another deck tech video, and it's going to be kind of an updated deck tech series that I'm going to be doing. Obviously, if you watch my channel for any amount of time, you know I've done deck techs on Briar and Katsu and Blitz heroes like Ira and Benji, and some other ones that I'm really interested in like Viserai. So some of these deck techs are going to be heroes that you've seen me tech before, but they're kind of like updated on how I'm playing the hero now. You know, how has the meta kind of shifted what I'm doing, especially with Briar, right? Like my Briar deck, as opposed to what it was prior to Briar really getting popular, is a lot different now. So looking at that, I just wanted to kind of do updated deck techs on how I'm playing these specific heroes. Hopefully, it helps you out, and it can help you maybe with your own decks and give you some ideas, some inspiration. Um, we'll get right into it. One thing I want to say, I'm going to start saying this on a couple of my deck techs. I do the digital version of a deck tech because two reasons. One, it's easier to see the cards. Like, I'm totally okay with anyone that does a deck tech like on a playmat, but I like to be able to see the cards. Like, I can click on these cards and show you the card, right? And show you what it's about. You can read it easier. It's just better and easier, in my opinion, to kind of get an idea of the cards. But if it really bugs y'all and y'all want me to do physical deck techs, that's fine too. Because I never give a deck tech on a deck that I haven't played that doesn't make sense. And if I did, I would tell you. So getting right into it for Briar, everybody who watches this probably knows what Briar does by now, so I won't go into that. Using Rosetta Thorn, I had Reaping Blade in here as a sideboard, and I still kind of do sometimes, but Rosetta Thorn, originally I had Reaping Blade as a sideboard for decks that want to give me a lot of life gain to kind of prevent that. But at the same time, like, Thorn's just too good of a card to not play no matter what the situation is. It's probably the best weapon in the game right now. I'm honestly surprised people aren't vying for it to get banned. I've seen a couple people, but it's just too good. For my equipment, again, this proves to you that I've played this deck. I'm using equipment that I've only personally used. A lot of people use Tunic. Tunic's really good. If you have Tunic, use it. I personally don't have a Tunic yet. I've only been playing the game for a couple months, like 3-4 months now. So I haven't got my Tunic yet, but I do play with Ether Ironweave a lot. I like Ether Ironweave. When I'm not playing the Mirror or I'm not playing a tall deck like Bravo or something, I'll play Ether Ironweave because I can get 2 resources from it, and it blocks for 1 without being destroyed, which is really nice. So it kind of gives you, that extra breakpoint block, and it's good for 2 resources. I use Crown Economy. Arcanite Skullcap you can also obviously use too if you have that card. I use this because I can bring 2 good Runeblade cards back to the top of my deck, and it has Arcane Barrier, which is really nice against Mirror or against another, arcane hero. Grasp the Arcanite's kind of like the irreplaceable part of this deck. It blocks for 3 over its lifespan. It's really good. And you can create Rune Chance obviously off of it, which is really good for certain plays that you're trying to do. And then finally, Spellbound Creepers and Snapdragon Scalers. I kind of a bit interchanging these. Right now, I'm still on Spellbound Creepers, but Snapdragon Scalers is easily as good. It just kind of depends how you sequence the deck and how you play the deck, because I think a lot of people are realizing that Spellbound Creepers is different because you have to play a non-attack at instant speed instead of just a card off of Snapdragon. But it kind of changes how you sequence cards. Like maybe instead of playing Plunder Run, then an attack, you play an attack, then you play Plunder Run at instant speed. So it just depends on what you're doing and how you're sequencing cards to which one's more effective, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. It just depends on what your thought process is with it. Getting into the deck, the main purpose of this deck, it is like a red line deck, all 0 cost cards with the exception of my Electrify. However, I have some sideboard cards as well as a couple extra blues, like more blues than most people run, and I'll tell you why in a second. Most people are running like as low as 6 or as more as 9 blues. I run 12 blues, which is a little interesting for some people, given this only has 3 cards, not 0 cost. But I'll tell you why in a second. So Arcanite Crackle, I like this card a lot. 0 cost, 3 and 1 damage, really good, especially if you can buff it. Arcanic Shockwave, probably the better or best Elemental Runeblade action card in the set. Can come in for 4 and 1, blocks for 3 really well. Ball Lightnings, I run 6 of them. The blues are a little bit weird. I have seen builds that run the blues, and the blues aren't bad. I personally just run 6 of them. I feel like I don't want too many cards in my deck that doesn't block, even though I don't block a whole lot. So I keep Ball Lightning in there. Electrify is pretty obvious, right? Trying to get that extra instance damage. If you can couple this with a Ball Lightning, then it deals 4 instead of 3, so that's really good. And it helps you draw a card if you can Arsenal it. It's also the only card in my deck that doesn't cost 0. I run a full 7 Lightning Strikes, Entwine Lightning, Lightning Press, really good, right? You've seen that a lot lately in decks. When you couple this with Razor Reflexes, which I'll show you why I have those in my deck here in a second, then it becomes really annoying for your opponent because you're either pumping or attack reacting basically every turn. Nimblism is really good. Lightning Surge, you all seen these before. Plunder runs, so I run 6 plunder runs. I don't run 9. I have seen decks that run 9, and it's really good, but I substituted yellow plunder runs for Razor Reflexes, which is why I'm running 12 blues. I'm running 12 blues for 2 reasons, and I'll get to the second reason in a moment, but the first reason is I wanted to put Razor Reflexes in my deck. Razor Reflex sucks with Redline Briar. If you only have 6 blues or even just 9 blues, half the time you can't play this Razor Reflex. Or if you play it, you're not going to be able to play your Rosetta Thorn at the end. I wanted a deck where I could literally either pump or attack react every single turn. And I pretty much can do that with this deck. With Nimblism, Razor Reflex, Lightning Press, Plunder Run, I'm plussing up my attacks pretty much every single time. So that's why I do that. So I add the extra blues to help supplement that Razor Reflex. I run Red Ravenous Rabble. Yellow Ravenous Rabble is also really useful as well. I don't have it in the sideboard, but you could put that in, especially maybe you don't like the Razor Reflexes. Snatch is a great card, especially if you can pump it to help draw, play it off an environment, a lightning token, and it's just a really good card. Scar for Scar, pretty simple with most aggro decks. Sting of Sorcery, which obviously most people by now know the Sting Ball or Sting Ball combos that we're getting, where you're basically attacking for 2 arcane and 3 arcane every turn, every time you play a ball after it, depending on how many you've played. Sonata Arcanix, you could take this out if you wanted. I still like it because it's almost automatically, 1, it gives me that non-attack action for the Rosetta Thorn trigger. 2, most of the time with this deck, I will get at least 1 extra attack in hand. And 3, it gives me half of my 2 non-attack action trigger for buying a lightning token. So I just like it a lot. It's really good. Some people don't run it, and that's fine. But that's what I run. Captain's Call Blue is pretty obvious with Lightning Briar running this. And then Force of Nature. So this is the weird one. This is the one that, not weird, you have seen a couple top 8 Briars have Force of Nature. So I'm running Force of Nature because I have a lot of pumps in my deck, a lot of attack reactions, and if it attacks and it has a higher attack than its base, then I draw a card. So it really helps me be able to draw cards on those turns where I'm doing a lot of attack reactions, doing a lot of pump spells. It's helping me be able to continuously draw cards and extend my turn out. And when you add that with cards like Snatch, and other cards, and even cards like Sonata Arcanix, is basically drawing cards into your hand, and Electrify, you can really widen these turns out and make it really useful. Plus, I wanted 12 blues in order to be able to pay for Razor Reflex and pay for Thorn more consistently. I found with Redline Briars, sometimes, like even on a good hand, you have to choose between attacking 3 times and using your last card to pitch for Thorn, or attacking 4 straight times. And I didn't like that. I want to be able to attack for 4 times. So sometimes I would, I have that extra blue to be able to use with Razor Reflex and get that extra attack in there, or at least have more options on how I want to attack. So that's why I put Force of Nature in there. Obviously, you could take it out if you don't like it personally, but I've been really enjoying the build so far. And it's really good if you add in a couple more pumps in there in order to consistently draw cards. A lot of people are running like that Slight Earth Briar now, where they have Channel Mount Heroic and Force of Nature. So if you can figure out a way to make that work, it's really good for that as well. Going into the sideboard, Bloodseath Skeleton, I'll play in the Mirror, or I'll play in a Bravo matchup where I just want a little bit more block. It blocks for 3. So when you have this and Grasp the Arknight, you basically have equipment that blocks for 4 the first time you use them all, and then 2 the second time. And if you count that with Spellbound Creepers, you now have 7 block on your equipment. And Arcanite Skullcap, if you have that, it's 8 block on your equipment. So you can see how you can kind of cheat the system a little bit and never really block with your cards if you're really hitting your turns really well, and just block with equipment. So it's really good for that. Command and Conquers, I'll put in against Prism, or put in against a Ranger, or put in against anybody who wants to use their arsenal really well, right? And that's where the extra blues really come in handy, because I can sideboard in Command and Conquer for one of my attacks and keep my blues because I have 12 blues to help pay for Command and Conquer. So it's really good for that. Evergreen, you play this against Prism. You also play this against Fatigue decks because it can go to the bottom of your deck if it's played from Arsenal. So as long as you can pay for Evergreen, it'll just keep coming back up and it attacks for 7. So it's really good for that. Exude Confidence, I'll play against any Fatigue deck, right? Against Prism, against Dash, against a Bravo, Oldheim. It's really good for that because they can't D-react off of you, especially if you can pump this with like a Plunder Run. Now it's coming in for 7. All their D-reacts are literally worthless for the most part. So it's really useful for that. Pulse Candle Hold, I'll put in for Fatigue matchups. It blocks for 3 also if I actually have to use it, so it's really good with Earth tokens. And then finally, I have Red Weave Lightnings in here. So that's the basis of this Briar deck. It's definitely different from the original Briar deck. If you saw my original one that I did a couple weeks back when I was really just kind of testing out Briar. Other stuff you could think about putting in here is like Bramble Spark would be a good idea. It's similar to a Sting of Sorcery. Except it blocks, it can be used for block as well. You could even sub out maybe the Force of Nature for Bramble Spark. I think that would be really useful as well because it basically does the same thing with Ball Lightning that Sting of Sorcery does. So it's really useful for that. You could also put a couple more D-Reacts in here. Yellow Ravenous Rabble would be good as well. Sorry, I'm looking down my cards as I'm talking because I want to make sure I get these right. But Yellow Ravenous Rabble as well is really good for this deck. But overall, Briar, she's one of the best, if not the best hero in the format right now. There's a lot of different ways to play her. This is the build that I've had the most success with so far at my local events. So definitely never not had a winning record. So I highly suggest trying out this build. Let me know what you think of it. Maybe add your own flavor to it. Let me know if there's anything in here you would take away, anything you would add. But this is basically the Briar build that I'm going with for the foreseeable future. But yeah, if y'all enjoyed this video, let me know. Let me know what you think of the deck tech, and I hopefully will be able to give y'all some more decks here in the future this week. I would say I have like 6 to 8 deck techs coming over the next week or two. So there'll be update on heroes that I've teched out before, but just kind of updated with a new format and kind of what my thoughts are on it. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. If you like it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions or any critiques, definitely comment and let me know those as well. And hopefully, you all can take this deck and do pretty well with it. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in to TCG Talk, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.